Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. This will be part B of the battery cabling little videos and lessons. And to recap where we're at, we were making the battery cables. Whoops. Yeah, the battery cables for the battery bank. And let me pull them over together here. There were, now that I'm done, 5 of the red cables, of the short red cables, that will be for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 along the positive chase. Then there are 18 that have a red and a black end on it. Those are going to be for 1, 2, 3 times 6. Those are those 18 right there in the middle. Then we have 5 that are solid black. That will be for the negative chase side. So what that means is, and I'm going to explain this to you, the reason why it's called chasing, it's chasing all the positives. This is chasing all the negatives. Each set of 4 is a string. 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 24 volts. This is a 24 volt system. So in the battery bank, you want to push your current across all the batteries equally. That's why it's set up in such a neat little pattern, because when the positive electrons are flowing through here, they're coming across all of these strings. So the negative electrons will come back to the batteries and go through each string, unless you're charging. And if you're charging, then they'll be pushed through on the positive side, and they'll get through this string and up. They'll come up and go through this string and up. Then they'll come up through this string and up, and so on and so forth. So each one has an equal length of cabling to have the electrons go through. Now remember, electricity wants to find the shortest path. So if I make this battery bank equal, so that each step, no matter how you go, is going to be an equal distance, then that should spread, technically speaking, should spread your current equally out amongst all your batteries, so that all your batteries are used equally and charged equally. So those are the battery bank cables. Then we have one long black one, and again that goes from the negative on the inverter over to the negative on the caddy, what we're going to call caddy corner. Let's see if I can do this back, from this one to that one. So we're going in on this corner, we're coming out on this corner. So the negative goes from the inverter, which is up here, the negative inverter, over to the negative. Hey, I might get the hang of this. So that's the one black battery cable, the long one. We have 2 red cables. We have a short cable, and we have a long cable. And you can see the long cable is meant to go to the positive, to the breaker. The short goes from the breaker to the positive on the inverter. Okay, the next things we have to do are to make our charging cables, the cables that will go from the charge controller to the battery. So where the solar panels produce, it sends it to the charge controller. The charge controller is a little box right there. We haven't gotten anything drawn on it yet. And then the charge controller is going to send the power to the batteries. We're going to go through this number 8 AUG wire for the charging cables. It's probably don't need 8 AUG, but I'm doing it because we just want to ensure that she's getting a good charge, and I am not stepping on it here. So what I need to do is strip using one of these El Cheapo Harbor Freight wiring tools. Now you want to be careful. It does have a spot for the number 10 where you can clip off and strip the wire, but this is number 8, so you don't want to clip down too much. Problem is, these, for this particular purpose, these little terminal ends are actually not designed for number 8, they're designed for number 10. So just in this circumstance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off just a little bit of this, and I'm going to just take it down little by little to get just the right amount to fit into the terminal end. And this will not affect it in any negative way. It will still carry the current. There we go. Got one more to get. Just about there. Oh, goodness, it's hot. There. Alright, now, what I'm also going to do is I have a little piece of shrink tubing that I'm going to use for both of them. Would you hand me the scissors? Actually, maybe I can cut it with this. Maybe I can cut it with this. Yeah, look at that. I got it actually sharp enough to do that. How do you like that? Alright, so I'm going to put a little piece of shrink tube. Now, this already has an insulator on it. And there. So what you want to see is it coming through the lug. You see that? Just enough metal to go through the lug there. It's a mini lug. It's a terminal end. And then I can, using the little yellow dot, that's for number 10, and it's designed to crimp that. But not only am I going to do that, I'm also going to squeeze that bad boy. Now we've got to be careful because, like I said, this heat is a little bit much for this extra shrink tubing, this small stuff. I'm going to be very cautious. Just a little extra insurance. Probably don't need to do that. But this is going to be the negative. So we got the negative black and the negative battery cable and the negative charging cable. And this one does not need, I'm just going to go ahead and strip it for my friend, because that way she doesn't have to do it. And then all we're going to do is button it up. This is going to go into the charge controller, and then this will go down over the battery terminal along with the battery cable. So that little piece is done. So let me get a pen. I am so discombobulated. Yes, I am discombobulated. It's the heat, folks. Alright, so on your charge controller, let's take a look at here. There are going to be, depending upon the brand you got, you're going to have 2 places to connect 2 wires. There's going to be the, let me write it on here. So solar, and then you're going to get batteries. So you're going to have a solar side and a battery side. So from your panels, you're going to have a positive and a negative. Oops, you can't see that. A positive and a negative coming in. So this is going to go out to the solar, positive and negative. Then we're going to have a positive and a negative. Oops. A negative. Make sure I get that where you can see it. I drew 2 pluses. This one's up. This one's going to be a negative. That one's a positive. And from the negative terminal, we're going to take this and we're going to go all the way around, to the negative, Alright, so from the negative, we're going to chase it around, and I'm just drawing it here so I don't crisscross my lines, but it can go straight over basically when you're doing it physically. But the point is, you're going from the negative battery terminal in your charge controller around over to your battery negative terminal, where the negative battery terminal is, or the battery cable is, to the inverter. Both of them go to the same terminal. Now let's look at the positive. So I'm going to pull out the Midnight Solar disconnect box. Because we're going to have to break this wire up into 2 separate. Okay? What are you doing, Shadow? What's that? A Shadow likes the cardboard box. Oh, God, it's killing me, this heat. Alright, so see if you can see this. Alright, on the bottom of the breaker, there is a little pull tab down here at the bottom. So that little pull tab right there, if you pull it down, that's what will lock onto these 2 slots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang it on there. I'm going to not snap it in place until I get... Oh, where did you go? Oh. We're going to get one of these plates out. Holy moly. Shadow's in the box. Looking pretty happy with herself. I hope this is good entertainment for you. Info education. Infotainment. Now you got a couple of plates here. There are different kinds of breakers that you can get, but we're using the thin ones. So there's this plate that has the thin one. Oh, God, I'm cooking here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put this plate over top, and I've got the screws right here. And I want to very carefully can't quite get in there like that. Alright, so here's the deal on this. You can see I have 5 slots. So I have up to 5 possible breakers that I can put in it. Ah, there we go. And we're going to take it out. And I'm sweating to death. And let's see if I can clean that little booger off of there. There we go. It's all cleaned off. Oh, there's another one on there. Another tiny one. Ah, there we go. There we go. Now, where'd the screws go? Where'd the screws go? Where'd the little packet of screws go? Ah, here we go. And of course, I did not get a screwdriver. I guess I gotta pause this and go get the screwdriver. Okay, so there you go. You see it inset. The little catch is snapped underneath. And I guess I put it on there too soon because I still need to put the wires on there. Let's go ahead and make up the wires. Actually, let's go ahead and take this back off and then we'll make up the wires. Alright, so I'm going to take my first piece. It's about 3 foot long. It's more than long enough. You're going to want to position your equipment boxes somewhat close to each other. And this one only need to strip the 2 ends, right? Only need to strip the 2 ends. So the first end I'm going to put in to one side of the breaker. And tighten it down. I'm not going to punch out any of the punch outs. All these are punch outs where you can pull the wire through whatever you need to. That you'll need to do on your own based on positioning of your equipment and where you mount it on the wall and such. So all I'm going to do right now is just neatly tuck this up inside so that it could be pulled out and connected. Then we have this one. Already has one end stripped. So I'm going to put that on the upper side. And then screw that one tight. There we go. Now I can put the lid in. Alright, before I wrap this one up, this one is going to go to the battery, to the positive lug of the battery. So we're going to strip it down. And this one too, I'm going to have to pull a few strands of this AUG off of here. Pull a few strands of copper out because it's just a little bit too big to fit in there. Let's see. Oh, that was just the right amount. Yep, perfect. And then we need, yoo-hoo, there you are, the other piece of shrink tubing. So off with you. On there, and we'll give it a good crimp right there. Come on, crimp. There we go. So it's crimped on there. Now I get to put this, and it's tight. Actually a little bit too small, but it'll still do the trick. There we go. Now ain't that pretty? I love it. Love it, love it, love it. all shrinked up and looking pretty and nice and clean. So now I need to wrap this up, because all this is going to get tucked in together. So all she has to do is pull it out, screw it against the wall, and connect a few wires. Okay, so let's try this one more time. Alright, so I'm going to have it set up to where it's on the tracks, clipped in from underneath. We got one wire coming off the bottom that will go to the charge controller, and then we got one wire up top that will go to the battery bank at the positive lug. Now let me show you where that looks like on the drawing. So I'll use the red because we're doing positive. So from here we got the positive coming from the positive. That'll go to the positive on the charge controller. And then we got the positive coming from the top. That'll come down to the positive lug. Kind of crisscrossy looking there, but you get the gist of it. This lower one's going to go to the charge controller. This upper one will go to the battery bank. And this will be the disconnect between the charge controller and the battery bank. This is the disconnect between the battery bank and the inverter. Our breaker. This is our big DC breaker. And it is going to go squarely. Let's see, do I want to go off? On. It goes this way. Off, on. So you can read it. And I have to take out these spacers. Now, will it fit? Nope, I gotta get the little tabs off. Tiny little metal tabs in there. Alright, then in our little screw kit should be a couple of machine screws, and I'm going to have to trim this out a little bit more. See if that isn't good enough. There we go. Oh, come on, you were there. Now, where is machine screw number 2? Right there. Right here. Machine screw number 2. Alright, there you go. big breakers put in. I'm not going to put in the battery cables. So the long one will come from this terminal out to the batteries, and the short one will go from, let's see, no, I'm sorry. Yeah. Turn this so you can see. Okay, so the batteries come in here, so that if you come through the upper punch out, you'll go down to the battery from here, and then this one you'll go through the punch out to the inverter. And I'm gonna have to drill these out because they're not fitting. While we're talking about wiring, I'm going to discuss the building of the MC4 connectors. Here are some of the MC4 connectors that I've used as temporaries or small hookups for stuff that I've done on my own systems in the past. I'm going to show you the pieces and parts and how they go together. These are one time, you can't mess up the installation, so they're really simple, but you need to pay attention here. So first off, for my friend, I have sent you, and you will have in the package that comes to you from the solar company, you're going to have some UV solar panel wire. That's what this is. This is meant to handle the UV light, unlike your standard number 10. Now both of these are number 10 wire, but this one's got a bigger a thicker insulation on it than this, and this insulation on this wire will get damaged by the ultraviolet sun. And when I show you my panels outside, you'll see that I've used it, even though it doesn't work too good. I've kind of what's a good word, pick your cliche, rigged it. So here's the thing. Let me cut this so that you can see it. And that does not want to cut. So let's use this cable cutter. Alright, so you will see that it's much thicker and a bigger insulation on it. Then I can at least strip it with this. These are those Harbor Freights, and they're a little bit on the cheesy side. I've got another pair. I can't find them. Don't know what I did with them. Anyway, so that's what you want to do. You want to strip. When you go to make these, you're going to strip your wire down, because we're going to cut your particular 30-foot section that we ordered for your system, and we're going to cut it into 8 pieces. So it's 30 foot, you're going to cut it in half. Cutting it in half will give you 2 15s, then you cut those in half, will give you 2 7.5s, and then when you cut that in half, you'll get 2 pieces that are 3 foot 3 inches, and that's all you need to do the connections at the panel. So that long piece that comes will be like that. So let me show you how this works. First off, these are MC4 connectors. So you've got a male end, the male end, and then you got the female end, and they go together like such. They are intended to be put together and not taken apart. I do, because I've done a lot of assembling and disassembling, and you don't want to. You want to do this one time, and you want to do it one time right. So when it goes together, you can see the little barbs there, and they catch and they snap in. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to take it apart. But the way these things work is they got a little screw on the bottom like such, and if you pull it out, you're going to see, now I stripped this one back way too far, but you're going to strip it back. So on the male end, you're going to have some inner pieces. If you would pull me out, one at each, a male and a female, and a male and a female. That's the female. So you're going to get in the bag a bunch of these fittings. That's the male. Alright, that's all I need is one of those. So you got a little bit of backwardsness. This is on the inside, you got a male and a female inner piece, and they fit together like such. So when you get them, the male will have the female aluminum inner piece. So you're going to have a male with the female on the inner piece, and you can see there is a little compression ring that goes on it. Now, when I used the number 10 wire that wasn't solar wire, I filled up the thickness difference using some electrical tape. That's just because I rigged it. You're not going to do that. You're going to use the solar wire. I'm just showing you what the difference is because this is what I have available. So you notice the end is crimpable. So you're going to strip it back. You're going to strip it back, and you're going to crimp on the female end to go into the male end. Oops. Oh, I snapped it in there. I shouldn't have. Alright. Get in there. And then the little ring goes in to clip around the wire, the compression ring. Now this one's already been done, so it's already kind of tight, and I'm just really making a mess of showing you this, but I want you to understand how it goes together. New ones go together right nicely. This one's used, obviously. It's already been crimped and pressed together, so it's not going to want to go back together very easy. Come on, get in there. There you go. And then once you get it tucked up in there, then you can screw this back on, and you can use a couple pairs of pliers to tighten it down. So the female metal aluminum piece gets crimped on, that goes into the male end. And then you have a male aluminum piece that goes into the female end. And you can see this one's not crimped, so it's opened up and nice and smooth, and it just sits in there and you put it on. So this end that we stripped, if I were going to do this, I would put the end in like such, crimp this down, slide this over like such, slide this in there. I can't because you almost can't see it, but indented in there are little perforated clips, and when you shove this in here hard enough, when so you get this piece and that piece, and let's pretend that's crimped on there. I'm not going to shove it all the way up in there. And when you do that and you shove it up in there, it's going to click. You need it to snap click to keep it from coming out like I just did on that one that must not have been right in the first place. But the point is, this gets crimped on here. Then you have your little rubber insert that helps lock it down. You're going to shove that in there, and let's pretend the metal one's in there, and then you can put this on, and then you're going to screw this on tight, very tight. Click until it's on and bound in there. Okay. And if we need to, my friend, you can call me and we will talk about it. Again, I think I've got it explained fairly well. Male aluminum piece goes into the female plastic piece. Female aluminum piece goes into male plastic piece. That way they overlap on the inside, and you'll be using this number 10 solar cable that's been sent with your kit, or you order it. if you, like I said, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you can use regular number 10 wire, and then I've used electrical tape to build up the thickness so that little rubber O-ring clamp will grip it. It's not the optimum way. You really want solar wire because that's what they've been built for. But sometimes you have to get around it in some form or fashion temporarily. But there you go. All I've got left to do is package this up and get it out to you, and I hope this helps. Got a lot of editing to do on this, so it's going to be a lot shorter. Okay, I want to wrap up this video. I'm going to show you my setup so that you can actually see what's going on. Essentially, I have a 12-volt system, 2 in a string by 6 strings. As you can see, these two are connected together, these two, these two, these two, and so on and so forth. And what you'll end up having is essentially twice this amount of batteries. So you'll see why they are for creating the space for it. So there will be 2 more over on this side where they'll go from one to the next to the next. You'll have the 2 battery banks. I actually have 2 inverters. I have this wagon 5,000 watt that's connected for some grunt work in case I need to run my air compressor or something. And then I have my Pro Watt sine wave 2,000 watt inverter from Xantrax. This is a 12 volt and this is a 12 volt. And your system will be a 24 volt. Again, 6 plus 6 is 12. If I have 2 more, then it's 24. So mine's a slightly different configuration because it's a lower voltage. I've gotten away with just a quick little disconnect for my system as opposed to a breaker. Since I don't have a breaker, I've got a fuse block right there. And then I've got another monitoring shunt system over there, but that's a different thing that you're not going to have. My charge controller is a little different, but it's the same concept. And you're going to see this. It's currently charging green. And you notice I've got my red battery cable, and the 2 grounds, or the 2 negatives, are right there. The 8 AUG and the 8 AUG go to the negative terminal over there, and the negative cable from there goes up to the negative terminal of the inverter. The positive terminal goes through my my fuse block and my switch, in which case it'll be your big breaker, and that positive comes all the way over to the positive. And notice I also have the charging wire from the solar charge controller. Yes, I've got a lot of cables on here. This is not the prettiest situation that you'd have, but this is the way I've got mine. So this is just a quick look so that you understand. You have your inverter. Yours will be the Magnum. You'll have 2 connections for the ground, and we will discuss your connection for your power. I have outlets on this one. You don't. We're going to discuss that separately in a different video. So there's your battery bank. Yours will be double. Charge controller. You can see the cables coming in from the panels into the positive and negative from the solar panels. So there you go. That will cover it, and this will be the end of this video. We'll catch you on the next one.